somehow, I mean, reviving a print museum sounds kind of boring, I think. And so maybe that's why everybody's still drinking coffee upstairs. But so I've got 20 minutes. Well, actually, I'll try to keep it to 20 minutes, but we're starting late. So I'm still taking my 20 minutes. So I taught at the Bauhaus University for 25 years, roughly, and retired last year. And since then, I've been busier than I have been since '93. And part of what I'm doing is helping to revive a print museum. So I'll just sort of pop through a quick list of some of the things that we have there. And one thing I always tell my students is like, you do not stand with your back to the audience and read out what's up on the screen, okay? They can read faster than you. But these are some of the things that we do there, and I'll go through them one at a time and show you a couple of photos. And the museum was founded 25 years ago, right about the same time that I went to Weimar. And the director, the guy who founded the museum and the director, he's born the same year as me, 1950. And he decided he's going to retire, and he thought when he retired, the museum should close. And so there were a few of us who said, no, we're going to keep it going. And actually, before he retired, there were a couple of my former students who started kind of managing things there. And so now I'm on the board as well, and the three of us work volunteer. Coincidentally, we're all lefties. Don't know why. I'm the only one who plays guitar as well. So this is where the name comes from, this nice pavilion here. So the German word pavillon, the LL is pronounced like a Y, almost like Spanish. So instead of an LION, it's LLON. Looks like Pavillon, but it's Pavillon-Presse. And in fact, this pavilion doesn't belong to the museum anymore. And this is maybe, if anybody knows anything about East Germany and the reunification, that people showed up years after the wall came down and said, by the way, that property belongs to us, and we're going to sell it. So the museum is here in this building, and this is a neighboring building where the pavilion is. The museum organization, the Museum Association, renovated this pavilion, and we called it the Pavillon-Presse. And then the people came and said, by the way, that belongs to us. So that building has been sold. Luckily, they're really great neighbors, Mr. and Mrs. Brinkmann, and they have some cool events there. This is also known as the Goethe Pavilion, and Goethe, Johann Wolfgang von Goethe, people who've read something know who that is. And he's like the kind of, big cheese guy in Weimar, and he apparently met his girlfriend in this pavilion. So it's called the Goethe Pavilion sometimes. Anyway, we're in the museum part now, and complete with graffiti, but the graffiti artists nicely, thank you, avoid spraying over the lettering that we've done here. So this is the Pavillon-Presse, that's our entrance, and when you go in, it looks like this. And so we sell some stuff there, and the three of us work there on a volunteer basis, so nobody gets paid, and we're always kind of, imagine some Tom Cruise movie where he's hanging off the side of a cliff by his fingernails. We're always kind of hanging off the financial cliff by our fingernails. And this is the part that a lot of people drool over, and I just think, wow, we've got literally tons of metal type and wood type, and we're in the process of cataloging and sorting and cleaning. So we've got some really nice stuff in there. A couple of rooms upstairs that are used as kind of museum rooms where we explain to people the difference between letterpress and intaglio and things like that, and lithography. And we have, like I said, literally tons of metal type and wood type. And we don't even really know what we have. So, and a lot of times, as some of you know this about categorization and naming of typefaces, different foundries produced similar typefaces, or say copied the typefaces from other foundries and gave them different names. So it's really difficult to try and follow this. There's someone talking, another former student of mine, Indra is not here yet, Indra Kupferschmidt. She specializes partly in this. She's teaching at another university now, and this sort of categorization and cataloging and naming of typefaces and identifying where did this come from and what's the lineage and all that. She's super with that. And so, we would find something like this and it would be called something like round grotesque, and you sort of think, well, I don't know what that is. And as you see here, some of it's kind of dirty, and so there's a lot of cleaning up to do. Ralph Herrmann is the chairman of the board, and he has a website called typography.info, that's spelled the German way, F-I-E on the end. And he had a little section on there. He also has a website called typography.guru. .guru is a top-level domain now. I thought, you bastard, I thought I really wanted that. Typography.guru. Anyway, he had a little section on there called Typographic Equipment That Sucks. And he shows this kind of special vacuum cleaner you use for cleaning type. And I thought, that's kind of cool. So we got little stuff. We got stuff like Leipziger Antiqua and 10-point and smaller and bigger, and some like really juicy super poster typefaces in wood. And sort of I'll go through some of those. I just love this photo, and that's like down real close and like get the dust, and it's like really tasty. So Bodoni kinds of things, and more like what is this? I forget what this is called. It's sort of like a Futura-like kind of face. Reporter, and we have even this sort of the brushstroke reporter with the streaks in it and stuff. And again, a lot of this stuff was kind of sitting around completely disorganized. The previous museum director did stuff like make art pieces out of the type and would take fonts and letters from different places and put them together and make kind of artistic pieces out of them. And we all kind of, we're trying to fix that, put the stuff back. So this is one of the drawers where it's like just wacko bits of types. So you really have to have this kind of skill of being able to say, what the hell typeface is that or was that? And where do we have it? And what other letters do we have? And it's like trying to put stuff away. Oh, we have them in 2 different sizes. Holy shit, where's the other one? It'll be in another floor. There's like 4 floors in the building. So it's like, it's a real adventure. So like I show here, we're photographing this stuff and we're sending it out and saying, does anybody know what, reluctant to use the word font or say, does anybody know what typeface that is? And we measure it, and we'll show a little measuring tape and say, we have this size and we have that. And then people will come and say, oh, can I pull some proofs of that? I need it for a project, or I want to digitize this typeface. So we're having some income that way. We also have a Linotype machine that works. And but as you know, if you've watched the film, or if you know about Linotype machines, it takes like half a day to warm up so you can actually use it. So we almost never turn this machine on. The museum is only open from 1 till 5 p.m. on Mondays and on Fridays because we're all volunteers. Once in a while we're there in between, but these are our official opening hours. And so turning on a Linotype machine, and maybe nobody will come that day. So it costs a fortune in electricity for the big kettle melting down a few kilos. So aside from the wood type and metal type, we also have a number of functioning presses. And so when we give the tours, people will show up and they pay €6 to get a guided tour. So we're certainly not getting rich on that. And a lot of the people who come are older, so they get the seniors discount as they only pay €3. And so you spend an hour with somebody and they say, gee, thanks a lot, and maybe they buy something when they leave. So we usually show this and say, well, this is like the Gutenberg press, and you sort of demonstrate how the ink was put on or how the paper was put on, and then roll the paper underneath and say, and then you pull this thing. But Gutenberg's was made of wood, and this was built in the 19th century, I think. And we have a number of these small, I don't know the words in English, so Kniehebelpresse. What I would almost call this sort of samizdat, or like the bedroom press, a couple of really small ones where people would do subversive documents, like Sophie Scholl, who got executed for doing that, producing anti-Nazi materials or whatever. And this like really nice thing. This was, I think this was an invitation to a little festival that we had in the summer, but we also print little beer mats and, little stuff, postcards and such things. We have a Heidelberg Windmill, the one that goes like this. Some of you will be familiar with that. We also have this, what's called the Schnell Depressor, which means like a fast press. And this used to be operated by 2 or 3 people, and it was also sort of gender separated. Like the man, there's a big wheel in the back here, this huge thing here. It's like a big heavy metal wheel, and a man always had to do that. And that was the power for the machine. It was not electric, it wasn't steam, and he would just stand there and crank this wheel around. And women fed the paper in because they have more delicate fingers, or it was seen that way. And the paper would get fed in up here, and the type is here. Okay, that's under the rollers now. We tried to figure out, if we wanted to make this press functional, what has to be done. And so it took like a year just to find people who do this kind of stuff. We need new rollers for the thing. It would have cost us several thousand, maybe about 10,000 euros to get this machine functioning. And we thought, well, first of all, we don't have that lying around. And if we did, there are a lot of other things that have to be done first. So this machine is there to say, here's what these machines used to look like. Yeah. This is kind of a general panorama. I'm just sort of take a look myself. We found some old sign letters and put them on the wall, and then lettered on the wall the missing letters. So you can see some of the stuff that we have. This is just one room, so we have 2, 3, 4, 5. We have like 6 rooms. They're not all this big, but this is the main machine room. And so from the other end of the room is what this looks like. So we have a couple of proofing presses. There's lots more stuff, but I have to kind of compress this for today. So we also have what we would call a specialist library. And when I retired last year, I had to hand in my keys, and I had a really big office, like 400 square foot, 40 square meter office with like 4,000 books. And I took about a quarter of that stuff to the Pavillon-Presse, including complete set of upper and lower case. Amelia Hugel Fontanelle is not here from RIT. I don't think she's here. Anyway, she gave me the last issue of upper and lower case that completed my set. Thank you, Amelia. And so I have a complete set of, or we have in the museum now, Typo magazine from the Czech Republic, and iMagazine, and Emigre, and a whole bunch of other sort of journals and periodicals about type that we also have here. And like tons of books on, you'll recognize some of these things. I'll just sort of quickly go through those. These are just my books that I'm showing. So there's the full set, over 100 issues of upper and lower case. Over here is the Typo magazine. And then I have the whole set of Octavo, if anybody remembers that. An iMagazine and Emigre. So and so we have visitors who come, and students can come and do research projects there, and I'm supervising a number of degree work, so bachelor's, master's, PhDs, and students can come and do research in the library, and if they want, they can also book time and pay for it, photographing stuff and digitizing stuff. So we've got a whole sort of copy stands with good lighting and clamps for your digital cameras and your analog cameras. So you can, we're also working on digitizing a lot of the stuff ourselves. So we have like tons of really type specimens and typography books. We do a thing that's called the Walbaum Weekend. Justus Erich Walbaum was, typecaster? Type designer? You would call him a type designer now, a type maker. Back around the Goethe times, so we're looking back at like 1800s, so those would be like 18th and 19th century. So we call this the Walbaum Weekend, and we'll do 2 days, a Saturday and Sunday. On the Saturday, we'll have a few talks, and this is our sort of lecture room upstairs. We've got room for about 40 people, so relatively small. We can also shuffle things around, so 15 people can sit there, and it doesn't feel empty. So this is our space. In a way, the ceiling is kind of low, but we have this huge sort of big TV screen for presentations. I'm trying to remember her name. She used to teach at our school, and these two ladies, their names have that Swiss diminutive ending, so something le on the end. So I'm embarrassed, I can't remember her name. What's her name? Petra Eisele, that's her name. Anyway, these two colleagues work in Mainz, and they teach there, and they're like big specialists on Paul Renner, and they gave a talk about Paul Renner and Futura. Huh? These are like super smart ladies. So on the Saturday, we'll do things like that, talks, and we do that maybe 3 or 4 times a year. And on a Sunday, we do workshops, and some of the people who attended the symposium part will also come, or we also have separate people come. So we have we'll have students, we have old people, we have little kids, and we do handset, mostly not little stuff, because that's like major pain in the butt for us to kind of make the stuff available and to resort it and put it away after. So we tend to keep with big stuff, so big wood type, and we'll put out a bunch of wood fonts on the floor and say, pick what you want and print some stuff. So this is just showing some of the things that we've done. And so Drucktypen Tango in the Pavillon-Presse, and the names of these 4 people who did it. So I guess he must be Nino, because all the other names are girls. Anyway, so they're very proud of that kind of stuff. And so we do stuff and then hang it up. And so over here, this is Lena. She's also a former student of mine. She's the treasurer. She's on the board of directors as well. I'm looking at the time. We're good. So what else? So we have a bunch of people who come. This guy is Jörg von Stuckrad. He used to work at the museum, but he and the director used to fight with each other all the time. Not fisticuffs, but disagreements, and he left, and I got him a job in our print shop at the school. So he's officially working at the university now, but he comes back a lot. Now the former director has retired and doesn't come there anymore. It took us a few months to get his keys back, but he's doing other stuff now. And so Jörg comes back to the museum, and he knows the place inside and out, so that's really great. So some nice juicy close-ups of inked wood type. We also do stuff, I don't know what this is called in English. Who speaks German? CNC Fräser. What is that? CNC, it's like a computer-driven machine. So whatever, like a router, okay? And so we do this stuff on MDF, and it's like super cheap. So you can design type, and you have the machine that goes and etches it out, and then you can use it, make it typify, put it on the press and print with it. And so a lot of students are doing that kind of stuff. And we do stuff that we get, especially we are smiled upon by the city of Weimar because we do workshops with little kids. And so we started a thing, the last one we did was just earlier in the summer, and we gave them a little sort of questionnaire and said, what do you think these words mean? And so that's kind of typographic terminology, like in English it would be, widow and orphan, and so, but in the German the words are it's kind of weird to give kids, so one of them is called the Schusterjunge, and that's like the shoemaker's son, and the other one is called Hurenkind, which means son of a whore, actually, or child of a whore, and that's so widows and orphans, but also Zwiebelfisch and Elefantenrüssel. So we give all the kids these words and say, what do you think that means? Draw us a little picture. We left out Hurenkind for the kids. And then we gave talks and explained what those things are and showed them Elefantenrüssel, it's like the elephant's trunk, and we show them a big piece of wood type of an old Fraktur with a part that sort of curls around, and they say, that's where that word is used in printing. And so they learned a little bit about print terminology, and they drew a bunch of pictures, and but we do stuff with like printing type. Oh, I hope this will work, please. Oh yeah. The sound is working too? Okay, so this is one of the workshops we did. We had this guy who does really super lettering, big lettering. And he made, it doesn't matter about hearing the sound, he made a brush just out of a piece of foam with a pair of scissors and cut a couple of nicks out of it and made this sort of three thing. And then he showed the people who were at the workshop how to do lettering. We spread paper out on the floor, and he showed them this stuff. And so I'll go quickly to the next picture. And we filled the room 4 times. And everybody was like, wow, that was so much fun. And doing like big calligraphy on the floor. Now, why is that still? Should be over now. Okay. Who's the guy from England who does this huge Timothy something? Yeah. Yeah, so people know him. He does these like calligraphy like this. Biggest, he's in the Guinness Book of Records. So you see what we did. We did a whole bunch of things. So we do some other events. We have degree presentations. We have this thing that's like monthly Font Freaks meetings. So we all sit around, drink beer, and talk about apostrophes and commas and stuff. So this, if you want to check out the website, if you speak German, go Pavillon-Presse.de, and there's an EN, the English version, which I translated. This is the kind of closing. This is what it looks like on the outside. And I'm done. Vielen Dank.